So in this show, we always add 2 new games each time, and they go to an overall list of all the racing games we've ranked so far. And then our total list of games to rank is over 100 games. So here's our list of games that we so far played on the show and have ranked. And as you can see, in the top 3 places, in 3rd place, we've got Team Sonic Racing on the Xbox One, Blur on the Xbox 360, and Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS. So I wonder where Mario Kart 64 is going to end up being. We're going to discuss a little bit about each game. We do 3 races of each game, and we'll discuss the different aspects about it and how we overall feel. It's nothing to do with which has got the best graphics or the best this. It's overall, how do we feel it as a racing game and how does it rank? So we consider things like enjoyable, how enjoyable it is. You said enjoyablement. Is that even a word? How enjoyable it is, how it feels, how it controls. A little bit part comes into the graphics, but it's more about art style and how well it still holds up. Like if we play it now, is it still fun? So we try to avoid using nostalgia here because it doesn't give it a fair chance. We need to be like, hey, is this still a fun racing game? As you can see from our list, a game doesn't need to be brand new or on the latest hardware to reach the top. We've got a right mixture of games in our list. Unfortunately, some games aren't doing too well near the bottom. Doesn't mean they're terrible. That's one thing. I own all these racing games. If it's near the bottom list, it just means it was lacking something. So at the bottom, we've got like the Grand Tour game, which we discussed previously. Had some issues with like having to watch like the cutscenes, and it kind of looked a little bit off, a bit like you were playing with Vaseline. Space Ribbon, that had like some handling issues and had some interesting gimmicks, but not enough. Fuel, the same thing, just a bit rough around the edges, had potential. So that's the sort of thing. Now, it can be really hard to choose, and even as I look into this, sometimes like, oh, should I put this higher? But you know what? I'm just going to go with my gut feeling and what we discussed and how I feel it fits into those. So here we go. So we're going to do Void Space Racing first. Let's go over to Void Space Racing. So here's Void Space Racing for Nintendo Switch. It's got a mixture of modes, time trial, single race, multiplayer, which is just local. So what's interesting about this game is you control this strange sort of like roundish spaceship. And as you go through the hoops, you kind of like have to adjust and aim where you're going to drift next. It's very unusual, but we'll get into it now. And we'll do a single race here. I'm going to, for the purpose of just showing off, we'll stick on easy. This game gets very difficult. So here we go. As you can see, we have to try and aim for the next hole. You can see where the other racers are because of their pattern, and it shows you where the next checkpoint is going to be. Ooh. I have to aim this target to make sure you're going to go through the circle. Overall, it has like a clean look to it, nice and sharp, but there's no real way to describe the handling. Everything is like a weird delay. Like, you aim for a direction, I guess it has the feeling of space, so I give them that they wanted something unique, but as an actual like game to pick up and race, that's to get a little bit in the territory like it was trying to be a sim, but you know it's trying to be like an arcade race at the same time. It's a very unusual mixture. Okay, so aim for some more here. I like the look of it, but any problem with space racing games that aren't on a track and revolve on this, there's not really like much variance. It's more like background decoration than the tracks being different. You just go in circles. You could have like the same space station but have the circles in different places. So I feel like the tracks aren't quite as rememberable. You're not like, oh yeah, I had this really sharp corner, because the whole track here is kind of invisible if you think about it. But yeah, once you go on the other difficulties, the AI goes ridiculously fast on it. So that's one race. Let's hop into another one. There we go, into another race here. So this one's more around asteroids. There's like some varied space locations. The vehicles don't... Oh. You can't hold A down at the bottom, at the beginning. Oh. you can overshoot it. This is the one that gets trickier because this one, track-wise, and shows a little bit more potential, having to go through tighter corridors and that, but it really, as you might tell from this footage, at the moment, trying to get through the space with this weird sort of floaty control, we'll probably end up bumping into a wall or something. I feel like if you got into the controls and the handling, then you might do like the time trials or something. Like I can see someone trying to perfect like the drifting and stuff, if you want to call it that, the floaty turning. Also, you can tilt your ship. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there's no like damage or crashing. You can like rotate your ship like this. Oh, that just makes it even more. I think if you want to straighten up or look, but we're in space and there's not like a particular angle that makes it seem alright. I've not seen much use for the tilting otherwise. Music for the most part, as it's a game we can have music on because it's not licensed music. Not to my knowledge anyway. It does the part, but I wouldn't say there's anything particularly special. And there you go. One race. We'll check out one more race, to be fair. But overall, yeah, like I said, kind of a weird, floaty feeling. Visually, it's not offensive. It's perfectly fine, does the job, but it doesn't have a particular unique or own style to it. Does a little bit generic. Okay, let's move on to the next race. So I'm using the Switch Pro controller for these, but you can use your Joy-Cons as well. Okay, here we go. You are allowed so many misses as well with the checkpoints, which kind of helps consider the way it feels. I'd say the music's kind of like an electro trance. Oh, no. I'm not sure how it declares you've missed one. Oh. I like the color trails. I'll give them that. The color trails on the opponents does kind of help. This one's a little bit more confusing than I was expecting. Not the handling's terrible. This is weird. This one's a harder one to judge. I just think you'd get too frustrated with like how awkward it is to control. I really want to play it much, do you mean? It's just lacking something. That special spark that goes, hey, I want to play this some more. Not that it's a bad game, I think. Plus, also this game on the Switch does crash a lot. Lucky enough today it hasn't, but I've had a few cases, even after doing one race or two races, while I was testing it out the other day, it crashing, so just keep that in mind. But we're not really going to put that against the racing. It would just be a little bit frustrating if you want to sit down and play it. But yeah, out of the space races, futuristic races, I'm not quite feeling it as much as some of the other ones we put on. I think a track really does help make a big difference. Oh, there you go. Right, let's bring up our rankings then. We'll go back to the stage select here. Have some music in the background. So here are our current rankings, and now we've got to try and decide where would we stick VSR, as they like to call it. Void Space Racing. Oh, now I'm having a hard time remembering. So somehow I decided Space Ribbon was better than the Grand Tour game, and now I can't remember why. Oh, this is tricky. I feel harsh putting it so low down, but Is this better than the Grand Tour game? I don't know. I feel this is an unusual choice and racer to have. I don't know, because if you're playing the Grand Tour game, you're expecting like a car racing game, and its controls and the weird blurriness and how awkward it is to get into a race, that puts it down. If you actually just like aim for some space racing, this is up here. Space Ribbon has got the advantage of actually having a track. It's pretty close. I think I'd still want to prefer to play Fuel over this, just because there's a bit more to Fuel. Once you get past the rough graphics in Fuel and the slightly off control, you can find a good time in Fuel. It's just a bit rough around the edges. So I'm going to stick this. Stick it below Space Ribbon, because it doesn't really have the track and the controls bit, but as a space racing game, it is better than the Grand Tour in a sense, because the Grand Tour is a car racing game and it is not particularly great at that. Like, I've still not gone back to play. I thought I might play some more after we did the episode of Ranking Races, but I've not returned. So I'm going to stick VSR Racing or Void Space Racing between Space Ribbon and Grand Tour. I'll be back in 1 second. And there you go, there's Void Space Racing there. It's put itself down near the bottom, but we're going to switch over to Mario Kart 64 and let's see how that does. Right, so next up is Mario Kart 64 for the Nintendo 64. As you can see already, we've got a selection of characters that you can choose, but everyone races the same kind of kart. This is purely for visual looks. We're going to go for Yoshi here. We're on 100cc just to show off a bit of the racing and the tracks. We'll just stick to the Mushroom Cup to start with here. So we'll do 3 races and we'll discuss a little bit more about it. Obviously it's a classic. There's a little bit of a nostalgia for me here, because obviously I played a lot of this growing up. But as we always treat everything as someone might have not seen or played it here at Ranking Races, Mario Kart is a kart racing game with Nintendo's mascots. And you pick up items and you can throw them as a mixture. So, positives first, like, you know what, for an N64 game, this still looks cool, it's got a unique look. Yeah, sure, the characters are technically weirdly 2D in this 3D environment. But there's some nice, colourful, interesting tracks. The tracks are definitely fun and probably the highlight of this game. AI seems fair. Rubber banding doesn't seem too bad, which is not something we discussed for Void Space Racing, but it's so hard to tell. Like, I feel like as soon as you put the difficulty up on that game, the enemies get too hard. But over here, overall here, it seems fair. There's also drifting, and that can give you a boost as well. Drifting in this game takes a little while to get used to, say, compared to some other games with drifting in. But music's getting more intense. Overall, like most Nintendo games, soundtrack is amazing. I'm sorry I'm messing up here, trying to talk and play at the same time and explain. Not the easiest. But yeah, a lot of tracks in this one are deemed like classic and have appeared in other games, other Mario Kart games. Ooh, I broke the music for some reason. That's a new one. Yeah, I think overall this looks good. It feels good. Like I say, it is a little bit tricky with the drifting. Like, you can feel like it might turn a bit too tight. But once you get the hang of it, it's fine, and it's a good way to get extra boost. Wow, mine is well glitched out. Sorry, this is not usually in Ranking Races, but I don't know what Yoshi's doing at the top. Oh, he's fixed himself there. I was going to say, overall, this game is solid. It doesn't have particularly many technical issues or frustrations. Track design is great. I think there might be just 1 or 2 tracks in here that are a little bit awkward. red shells lock on. We seem to have lost music. Really has glitched out today. Well, I'm going to leave it because I'm here recording and that's just how it goes. Definitely unusual. I've not known that to happen before. I'll reset it after this race and see if the music comes back. Here we go. We've got some obstacles here on the track as well. But yeah, overall, this is solid. I think the free speeds you get, 50cc, 100cc, and 150, give it some variance as well. Obviously, the faster you're going, the faster everyone else is going, that's where the difficulty comes in. So not only can you like have multiple difficulties, it actually has like a different feel to it when you're driving faster. Gives the game a different vibe and feel to it. I think the only downside to this game is like the lack of different carts, because you're basically choosing character here, not different carts. And maybe by today's standards, there's not many tracks. I feel like there's still enough in here. Okay, we're back after resetting it, so hopefully music's working. I thought we'd show off Luigi and what a trickier track might look like. So some tracks do have areas where you can fall off. This also show off the jump mechanic as well. Sometimes you get like special ramps in levels. Like this. Woo. This level especially there's places to fall off, but also if you drive too close to the jungle, there are these things that come out and try and hit you. Oh, obviously I need some more speed to get up there. Yep. But yeah, I like there's lots of little details, like nice environmental details and the ease coming out of the tires while you're drifting. No music's gone again today. We are using the Switch emulation version here, just for the purpose of recording, so it could be an issue with that, so it's definitely most unusual. That's just how it goes sometimes, but... Oh. No, even with music, it still holds up well, but yes, the music soundtrack is very good in this game, so... I say music still works there. Does that power style go for anything? I am doing really bad here. Trying to race and explain the merits of a game. A little bit tricky. Ah, come on. So yeah, I think compared to some other kart races, this has... its handling is a little bit... It still feels good, but I think the handling is the one part where age has got to it a little bit. Oh. Alright, see if we can get a podium finish here. Oh, the music's come back now. Oh no. Here we go. And there you go, that's Mario Kart 64. Yeah. Overall, great vibe. Feels good, handles good. Okay, it looks a little bit dated by today's standards, but it still has that unique, interesting world, and you kind of forget about it once you're in and play. And this is one you definitely like to revisit. Not my favorite of the Mario Karts, but we'll get to that in a future episode. So let's bring up the rankings and let's decide where we're going to put them. Okay, so here we go. So let's have a think about where we want Mario Kart 64. It's a classic. It's hard not to get pulled in by nostalgia here, but overall, as a fun racing game, where would I put it? Let's have a look. So we've got Mario Kart 7's at the top. I don't think it's as good as 7. I think 7 is a lot more polished overall in many different aspects. I don't know. There's some good games on here, but I'm like, it's better than Excitebike 64. Excitebike 64 has got some issues with some handling and track design. Is it better than Excite Truck? The Excite Truck's got some good stuff going for it. I think Excite Truck holds up a little bit better. I don't think it's as good as Onrush. I think Onrush is definitely a lot more polished, a bit more replayable. I feel really weird for saying this about a Mario Kart game, but I'm gotta be non-biased because I do love Mario Kart. But there are other Mario Karts I'd rather play on other kart racing games. It just holds up a little bit better. This is mainly fun for nostalgia reasons. We've got to put nostalgia to one side a little bit here. The Speed Racer's got some issues with controls, and that's pretty good. I think I'm going to stick it between Juice 2 and Excite Truck. I think Excite Truck... Oh no, is this better than Excite Truck? Excite Truck's good, but you can get a little bit off the track as well. You know what? Let's stick it between Onrush and Excite Truck. I feel happy with that. It is always tricky, so I'm looking at this game going, oh, is that better or not? But I feel like that's fair. Okay. So there you go. So Mario Kart 64 has found a space between Onrush and Excite Truck. So it's in there. It's near the top, which is a good placement. And Void Space Racing is down near the bottom, or we've pushed Grand Tour right off the bottom of the list. We will have to make this smaller, but I think what we might do in future, we'll just have to scroll it when we're looking through the list, which I can do now, as you can see here. Grand Tour here, sneaking at the bottom. Mario Kart 7 still holding on the top there. Pretty cool to see a 3DS game as well, which proves we are not biased by system, and you can see from our list here, there's a diverse list of consoles that we are definitely covering here. And there you go. Like I said, there's over 100 racing games on my list, and I keep on adding them because they keep making them. A little bit about why we're doing this. I did it because I love racing games. We don't get as many racing games as we used to, and I wanted to make a ranking of them. So thank you for joining us on another episode of Ranking Racers. Hope you've liked that slightly changed layout. We thought we'd refresh it a little bit for episode 10. Thank you to our Patreons and Twitch subscribers, which help us keep doing what we're doing. And you can find out more how to support us in the details in the description below on Patreon. And other ways to donate as well. Ko-fi as well. Lots of places to donate. But we also do appreciate a like and subscribe if you're watching this on a YouTube, which helps build up our support and is a good way to support us and keep on doing what we're doing. And we really do appreciate all the support. So thank you very much to everyone who supports us. And thank you for joining us on this slightly rebooted, refresh Ranking of Racers, episode 10 of Void Space Racing and Mario Kart 64. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.